There's a moment when the world just disappears. Not in a scary way, but in a soft, gentle one. It's the moment the mists of the Nilgiri hills roll in, and everything around you dissolves into a quiet white haze. People call Ooty the queen of hill stations, and sure, that brings to mind pretty gardens and old colonial buildings. But I was looking for something else. I wanted to find the world that lives inside that mist, the one you hear about in the rustle of eucalyptus leaves and the stories of ancient tribes. This is my journey to find the real heart of Ooty, to discover the secrets the fog both hides and reveals. It's about understanding why this place isn't just a dot on a map, but a feeling that sticks with you long after you've gone back down the mountain. Getting to Ooty isn't just a drive, it feels more like a pilgrimage. You leave the heat and noise of the plains behind and start the slow, winding climb into a whole other world. The road twists around the mountains like a snake, and every hairpin turn shows you a new side of the Nilgiris. Even the air changes. It gets thinner, cooler, and suddenly smells sharp and clean, full of eucalyptus and wild herbs. Outside the window, the dusty brown landscape gives way to 1,000 shades of green. Huge rolling tea plantations cascade down the slopes, their perfect green lines showing how people have patiently worked with this wild, beautiful nature. With every foot you climb, you feel like you're shedding the world you left behind. The climb is a preparation, really. It's the mountain's way of telling you to slow down, to breathe a little deeper, and to start paying attention. You're entering a place that moves to a different rhythm, one set by the sun, the rain, and that ever-present mist. By the time you get to Uddagamandalam, Ooty's official name, you don't just feel like you've driven a few hundred kilometers. You feel like you've crossed a line into a land where nature is still in charge, a land where stories are carved into every single hill. To really get a sense of Ooty, you have to see it from above. You need to stand where the clouds brush against the earth and just feel how massive these ancient mountains are. So my first stop had to be Dadabetta Peak, the highest point in all of Tamil Nadu. The walk up is its own reward, taking you through shivering shola forests and grassy fields. But the view from the top, it's a revelation. On a clear day you get this jaw-dropping panoramic view of the Nilgiri hills stretching out like a rumpled green and blue blanket. You can see the valleys, the tiny towns in the distance, and the patchwork of forests and tea gardens. You're not just looking at a view, you're standing on the crown of a kingdom, feeling the pulse of the land itself. But Ooty's magic isn't always about clear days. In fact, you often find its soul in the fog. Places like Shooting Point and Dolphin's Nose are famous for their dreamy, cinematic feel. One minute you're staring into a deep green valley, and the next, a wall of white mist rolls in and swallows the world. The fog makes you look at what's right in front of you, the wildflowers at your feet, the sound of the wind, the damp, earthy smell in the air. And in those moments you realize the mist isn't hiding the view, it is asterisk the view. It's the breath of the mountains, a living, moving thing that gives Ooty its mystical, otherworldly character. After the epic scale of the peaks, I went searching for stillness. Ooty's spirit isn't just in its heights, it's also in its calm, quiet waters. The famous Ooty Lake is the town's social heart, a man-made lake surrounded by fragrant eucalyptus trees where the gentle rhythm of paddle boats sets the pace for the afternoon. It's a place for simple joys, for picnics and laughter, a perfect reflection of that colonial-era desire to create a perfect little escape. But if you want to find the raw, untouched serenity of the Nilgiris, you have to go a little further. My search led me to Avalanche Lake and Emerald Lake, a pair of hidden gems tucked away deep in the hills. These aren't bustling tourist spots. Here the world goes quiet. Surrounded by the dense forests of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, the lakes are so clear they perfectly mirror the sky and the trees. This is a place for listening, to the call of a rare bird, to the rustle of unseen animals in the woods, to that deep silence you can only find when you're truly alone in nature. As I hiked along their shores with no sound but my own footsteps, I felt a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. This is where Ooty shares its quieter secrets, where the rush of the modern world feels a million miles away. For days I'd been captivated by the landscape, but I knew the real story of these hills wasn't just in the forests and peaks, but in its people. My journey took a huge turn when I went to meet the Toda, the original inhabitants of the Nilgiris, a community with a story as old as the mountains themselves. Visiting a Toda settlement, or Mund, feels like stepping back in time. Their homes are these incredible half-barrel-shaped huts made of bamboo and thatch, with tiny doorways you have to stoop to get through. They aren't just houses, they're a symbol of a unique culture built to live in harmony with the land. The Toda are a pastoral people, and their entire way of life is built around their sacred buffalo. This connection to their animals and the land is deeply spiritual. I learned about their intricate hand-embroidered shawls known as pukor, a beautiful art form that's so unique it has been given a geographical indication status. The red and black geometric patterns aren't just for decoration, they tell stories of their beliefs and their bond with the natural world. To see this living heritage up close, to meet a culture that has held on to its reverence for the environment for so long was the most profound part of my trip. I realized the misty hills I'd been admiring weren't just a landscape, they were a homeland, cared for and loved by the Toda for centuries. The Toda might be the most well-known guardians of Ooty's heritage, but they aren't the only ones. To really understand the cultural puzzle of this region, I ended up at the Ooty Tribal Museum. This place is a quiet little sanctuary that tells the stories of the many other indigenous communities of the Nilgiris, like the Kota, Kurumba, Panya and Irula tribes. Each display case opens a window into a completely different way of life, showing how all these communities were shaped by these very hills. It paints a picture of a rich, diverse human ecosystem that thrived here long before any roads were carved into the mountains. And then, layered on top of that deep indigenous history, is the story of the British colonial era. You can see that history written in stone all across Ooty. You see it in the Gothic architecture of St. Stephen's Church, a landmark built with massive timber beams taken from Tipu Sultan's palace. But you feel asterisk at most on the Nilgiri Mountain Railway, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Riding this toy train is literally like traveling back in time. As the steam engine chugs up the steep hills using a unique rack and pinion system, you pass through dense forests and over historic bridges, seeing the landscape exactly as someone would have over a century ago. It's an engineering marvel, a ghost of another time, and it adds another fascinating, complex layer to this incredible place. This journey into Ooty's many layers, from its ancient tribal roots to its colonial past, has been incredible. If you're enjoying this, let me know in the comments. Which part of Ooty's story would you want to see for yourself? As my time in Ooty started to wind down, I began to see the connections I was looking for. The big realization for me was this. In Ooty, nature and culture aren't two separate things. They're woven together so tightly they've become one beautiful fabric. The mystical mist I came here to see? It's the same mist that waters the forests the tribal communities consider sacred. The deep respect the Toda people have for their land is the very reason the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve is still so pristine. You see this blend everywhere. You see it in the local markets where fragrant spices from the hills are sold right next to the beautiful hand-embroidered shawls of Toda artisans. You feel it when you realize that the unique shape of a Toda hut is perfectly designed for the climate of these mountains. Every part of this place connects to every other part. You can't fully appreciate the beauty of the hills without understanding the people who have called them home for thousands of years. This seamless blend between the land and its people is the real magic of Ooty, and it's a richness that goes way beyond scenic viewpoints. I came to Ooty wanting to capture its famous misty landscapes, but I'm leaving with something so much more valuable. I learned that the mist isn't just weather, it's a curtain, and if you're patient enough to wait for it to part, it reveals a world with incredible depth. Ooty isn't a place you can just see asterisk. It's a place you have to experience asterisk. It's the smell of eucalyptus on the cool mountain air, the taste of fresh tea, the sound of the wind in the Shola forests, and the humbling feeling of meeting people whose culture is as old as the hills themselves. The journey to mystical Ooty is about discovering that the real magic is in the quiet connections between the sky and the earth, the forest and the lake, the past and the present. It's a reminder that some of the most beautiful places on Earth aren't just a collection of sights, but living, breathing stories. And the story of Ooty is one that lingers in the mist, waiting for you to come and find it. If this journey into the heart of the Nilgiris has inspired you, please subscribe and join me for more adventures into the soul of incredible places. And maybe, think about making your own trip to Ooty. Come for the views, but stay to listen to the stories. I promise you won't be disappointed.